Your soulmate was on a dinner date last night, and shockingly, their date was. The evening arrived wrapped in golden light, as though the world had decided to disguise an ordinary Tuesday as something unforgettable. Across town, in a quiet restaurant hidden beneath strings of glowing lanterns, someone stepped through the doorway carrying more questions than confidence. That person was your soulmate. They paused just inside the entrance. The hostess smiled politely. "Table for two?" A gentle nod answered the question. She guided them toward a secluded corner where a candle flickered between two untouched glasses. One chair was occupied. The other waited. Your soulmate's heartbeat quickened. For weeks, mysterious events had unfolded around them. Anonymous notes appeared where no one could explain them. Songs from forgotten memories played in unexpected places. Strangers smiled with unusual familiarity, as if recognizing a story still waiting to happen. Then came the invitation. No name. No explanation. Only a handwritten message. "If you wish to understand why your heart has been restless, meet me tonight." Curiosity defeated hesitation. Now they stood before the table. The person already seated slowly looked up. Your soulmate froze. It wasn't an old friend. It wasn't a former partner. It wasn't a secret admirer. It was someone who looked strangely familiar, almost like looking into a future they had never lived. The stranger smiled warmly. "I've been waiting for you." Silence settled between them. After several moments, your soulmate finally asked, "Do I know you?" The stranger laughed softly. "Not yet." The waiter arrived, interrupting the growing mystery. Menus appeared. Water was poured. Yet neither of them glanced at the food. Instead, the stranger carefully slid a small envelope across the table. "Open it after dessert." Your soulmate hesitated. "What is this?" "A truth." "What kind of truth?" "The kind that changes every decision you make after tonight." Outside, rain began tapping gently against the windows. Inside, every second stretched longer than the last. The stranger seemed unusually calm, almost peaceful. "You've been searching for someone," they said. "I suppose everyone is." "No." The stranger shook their head. "You've been searching for one specific soul." Your soulmate's expression changed. "How do you know that?" "Because every path you've walked has quietly been leading toward the same destination." A chill traveled through the room. The candle flickered unexpectedly. Neither noticed. The meals arrived. Beautiful dishes filled the table, but conversation remained far more nourishing than food. The stranger spoke of impossible coincidences. Of invisible threads connecting people long before they meet. Of dreams that arrive years before reality catches up. Every story somehow reflected pieces of your soulmate's own life. Places. Memories. Feelings they had never shared with anyone. Finally they interrupted. "Who are you?" The stranger smiled again. "My name isn't important." "Then why invite me?" "Because tomorrow your life begins changing." "What changes?" "You meet someone." Your soulmate laughed nervously. I meet people every day. Not this person. The stranger leaned closer. This meeting has been crossing oceans of time. The restaurant noise seemed to disappear. Even the music faded into the background. Only those words remained. Your soulmate whispered. Who is it? The stranger looked directly into their eyes. The one reading this story. Confusion replaced every previous emotion. What does that mean? It means destiny doesn't always introduce people immediately. Sometimes it prepares them separately. The waiter returned carrying dessert. Chocolate cake. Fresh berries. Coffee. Perfectly ordinary. Yet nothing about the evening felt ordinary anymore. The stranger finally picked up the envelope. This contains one photograph. A photograph of who? You'll understand later. Why not now? Because timing protects fragile truths. Minutes passed. The conversation drifted toward childhood dreams. Regrets. Missed opportunities. Hidden fears. Every answer your soulmate gave seemed expected. Almost rehearsed. As if someone already knew the script of their heart. Eventually dinner ended. The bill arrived. Your soulmate reached for it. The stranger stopped them. It's already paid. By who? The answer came quietly. Someone who believes your future deserves one unforgettable evening. Your soulmate looked around the restaurant. No one seemed unusual. No one appeared to be watching. Yet an invisible presence lingered, impossible to explain. Standing to leave, the stranger placed the sealed envelope into your soulmate's hand. Don't open it until midnight. And after that? You'll understand why tonight wasn't really a date. What was it then? The stranger smiled one final time. It was preparation. Before another question could be asked, they walked away. Not hurriedly. Not dramatically. Simply disappearing into the rainy evening. Your soulmate stood alone beneath the restaurant lights, holding the mysterious envelope while countless possibilities raced through their mind. At exactly midnight, they finally broke the seal. Inside was only one photograph. The picture showed someone they had never met. Yet for reasons beyond explanation. Looking at that face felt exactly like coming home. Midnight arrived with a stillness so complete that even the ticking of the clock sounded louder than usual. Your soulmate sat alone beneath the soft glow of a bedside lamp, the mysterious envelope resting in their hands. Every instinct told them to wait, yet every heartbeat urged them forward. With careful fingers, they unfolded the photograph. At first, nothing seemed extraordinary. It showed an ordinary person standing beside a quiet lake at sunrise. Mist hovered above the water, and distant mountains faded into pale blue skies. It looked like a memory captured by chance. But then something impossible happened. The more they stared, the more familiar the face became. Not because they had met this person. Because they had dreamed of them. Fragments of forgotten nights rushed back with startling clarity. For years, They had awakened with fleeting images they could never explain, a smile disappearing into morning light, a silhouette waiting at the end of a bridge, a voice saying, "Not yet." Those dreams had always faded within minutes. Now they returned all at once. Your soulmate whispered, "Who are you?" There was no answer. Only silence. Then, as they turned the photograph over, they noticed handwritten words on the back. When you recognize this face without ever meeting it, your journey has already begun. A chill ran through the room. Their phone buzzed unexpectedly. No caller ID. No message preview. After several rings, curiosity overcame caution. "Hello?" For several seconds, only quiet breathing answered. Finally, a calm voice spoke. You opened it. Your soulmate froze. Who is this? The same person who shared dinner with you. How did you know I'd look at midnight? Because you always choose curiosity over fear. Who is the person in this picture? The voice paused. They are closer than you believe. What does that mean? It means your lives have already crossed. Your soulmate frowned. I've never seen them. Not with your eyes. The call ended. No goodbye. No explanation. Only more questions. Unable to sleep, they searched through old journals, forgotten notebooks, and years of saved photographs, hoping for some clue. Nothing. As dawn approached, exhaustion finally won. They fell asleep with the mysterious photograph resting on the bedside table. That night, the dream returned. Only this time, it was different. They stood inside a railway station unlike any they had ever visited. People hurried past without faces, their footsteps echoing like distant memories. At the far end of the platform stood the same person from the photograph. They smiled gently. Not a word was spoken. Instead, they held out a small silver key. Just as your soulmate reached for it, a train thundered between them. The roar lasted only seconds. When it passed, the platform was empty. The stranger was gone. But the key remained in your soulmate's hand. They woke with a racing heart. Instinctively, they opened their hand. It was empty. Yet the sensation of cold metal lingered on their palm. The dream felt impossibly real. Later that morning, while walking through a quiet bookshop to clear their thoughts, something caught their attention. A framed landscape hung on the wall. It was the same lake from the photograph. Every detail matched: the trees, the mist, the curve of the shoreline. Startled, they asked the elderly shop owner where the picture had been taken. The owner smiled. Funny thing, he said. People often ask about that place. Where is it? I'm not sure. You don't know? It was painted from someone's recurring dream. Your soulmate stared at him in disbelief. A dream? The old man nodded. The artist insisted the place existed somewhere. He spent years trying to find it. Did he? The owner looked thoughtful. No. He disappeared before he ever could. Your soulmate glanced back at the painting. For the briefest moment, they could have sworn the reflection on the lake had changed. It looked as though two figures now stood at the water's edge instead of one. When they blinked, the second figure was gone. As they left the shop, their phone buzzed again. This time, it was only a text. No number. No name. Just 7 words. Tomorrow, someone will recognize your photograph before you do. Your soulmate looked back at the mysterious image in their hand. For the first time, they noticed something they had somehow missed. In the background, reflected faintly in the lake, there was another person. The reflection was blurred. The face couldn't be seen. But one thing was unmistakable. That second figure was holding the camera. And somehow, your soulmate knew the photographer wasn't a stranger. It was the person destiny had been quietly leading them toward all along. The following morning felt different. Not because the world had changed, but because your soulmate had. The photograph never left their thoughts. Every time they looked at it, the face seemed a little more familiar, as though memory itself was slowly catching up with destiny. They slipped the picture into the inside pocket of their jacket and tried to continue with life as usual. It didn't work. Every conversation felt incomplete. Every street seemed to whisper that something, or someone, was just around the next corner. That afternoon, they wandered into a small weekend market filled with artists, musicians, and old book stalls. It wasn't a place they normally visited, yet something had drawn them there. As they passed a booth selling handmade journals, an elderly woman looked up from her work. Before your soulmate could say a word, she smiled. You finally came. Your soulmate stopped. I'm sorry, do we know each other? The woman shook her head. No. Then why did you say that? Because I've been expecting the person carrying that photograph. Their heart skipped a beat. You can see it? I don't need to. She tapped gently over her own heart. Some stories leave a trail. Your soulmate slowly removed the photograph. The woman's expression softened. So, this is the one. You know them? I know what they represent. And what is that? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she reached beneath the table and placed an old leather journal in front of them. This belonged to someone who visited me many years ago. Your soulmate carefully opened it. The pages were filled with sketches. Mountains. Bridges. A quiet lake. The same lake. Then they turned another page. Their breath caught. There was a drawing of the exact restaurant where the mysterious dinner had taken place. Even the candle on the table had been drawn. On the final page, written in elegant handwriting, were the words, "Some souls recognize each other before their lives ever cross." Beneath the sentence was a date. Tomorrow's date. Your soulmate looked up in shock. How is this possible? The woman smiled sadly. Because some meetings are written long before they happen. Who wrote this? A traveler. Where are they now? I don't know. They never came back. As your soulmate closed the journal, something small slipped from between the pages. A folded map. At first glance it appeared ordinary. Then they noticed a tiny circle drawn in red ink. The marked location had only one handwritten label. Where two stories become one. Before they could ask another question, the woman gently pushed the map back toward them. It belongs to you now. Why me? Because the person who left it believed you would need it. How could they know I existed? She looked directly into their eyes. They didn't. They simply trusted destiny. Those words echoed long after your soulmate left the market. That evening, curiosity overcame caution once again. They decided to visit the location marked on the map. It led them to the edge of a peaceful park overlooking a small lake. Not the same lake from the photograph, but close enough to stir something deep inside. The sun was beginning to set. Golden light danced across the water. The place was almost empty. Almost. On a bench facing the lake sat someone quietly reading a book. As your soulmate walked past, the stranger looked up. Their eyes widened. Then, without hesitation, they smiled. I've been wondering when we'd finally meet. Your soulmate froze. Do I know you? The stranger laughed softly. No. But I know your name. Silence. I never told you my name. You didn't have to. The stranger closed the book. For months, I've been dreaming about someone carrying a photograph. Slowly, your soulmate reached into their pocket. The stranger's smile faded into amazement. It's real. They whispered. I thought it was only a dream. Your soulmate carefully held up the photograph. The stranger stared at it. Then looked back at your soulmate. I've seen this picture before. Where? In my dreams. A cool breeze swept across the lake. Neither of them spoke. For the first time, the impossible no longer felt impossible. It felt inevitable. The stranger reached into their own bag. With trembling hands, they pulled out an envelope. It looked identical to the one your soulmate had received after the mysterious dinner. Inside was another photograph. When the two pictures were placed side by side, they formed a single image. One photograph showed the person by the lake. The other revealed who had been standing just outside the frame all along. Neither picture had been complete on its own. Only together did they reveal the full scene. Your soulmate stared at the joined photographs in disbelief. There, reflected in the calm water between them, was a handwritten message that had been invisible before. Every path was preparing you for this moment. Both of them looked at each other in stunned silence. Then, somewhere in the distance, a church bell rang once. And both of their phones vibrated at exactly the same second. The message on each screen was identical. The Real journey begins now.